Peace to the viewing audience. I would like to take this opportunity to say Happy Thanksgiving from my home to your home. I would also like to take this opportunity to share with you a Thanksgiving message from Acts chapter 27. After we last met for the conference in October, one of my goals is to keep in touch with you by sending you a monthly to bi-monthly message from me to you. And since we're just a few days away from Thanksgiving, I wanted to look at a passage of scripture and share with you some things that all of us should be thankful for, not just during Thanksgiving, but every day of our life. The passage of scripture is Acts chapter 27, and those of you who are not familiar with it, Paul is traveling as a prisoner all the way to Rome. It was always Paul's desire to get to Rome, but he thought he would go as a preacher. But now he is going as a prisoner. And in Acts chapter 27, you see a lot of things that took place for him that teach us what we ought to be thankful for on a daily basis. And I want to give you five. I want to give you 5 things during this Thanksgiving season that you should be thankful for. Number 1, you should be thankful for friends. That's right, for friends. You may have a lot of associates in life, but you don't have a whole lot of friends. So number 1, you should be thankful for friends. Number 2, you should be thankful for food. Hey, in a few days from now, all of us are going to have food beyond measure. And while we enjoy that, there are many people across the world who are trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from. Number 1, you should be thankful for friends. Number 2, you should be thankful for food. Number 3, you should be thankful for family. That's right. Those people you are in kinship with, that mother, that father, those children, that brother, that sister, that uncle, that aunt. Be thankful for family. You might be able to choose your friends, but you don't choose your family. Hey, can I give you the final 2? Come on, let's go over them again. Number 1, you should be thankful for what? Friends. Number 2, you should be thankful for food. Number 3, you should be thankful for family. Number 4, you should be thankful for favor. For favor. You know what I believe with all of my heart? I believe that an ounce of favor is better than a day of labor. And how many times has God showed himself strong on your behalf this year? It's called divine favor. And then finally, you should be thankful for fortitude. Fortitude. You know what fortitude means? It means having strength in the midst of adversity to get the job done. And all of us this year, we've had our share of pains and problems. But guess what? The mere fact that you're viewing this, that means that you have survived. And in Acts chapter 27, we see where Paul encountered all 5. He encountered friends in verse number 3. And I just want to read it for you. Verse 3 says, "And the next day we touched at Sidon, and Julius courteously allowed Paul and gave him liberty to go to his friends that they might refresh themselves." Hey, they're traveling and Paul is a prisoner, but the person who is in charge of Paul gave him an opportunity at one stop to go by and visit some friends that they may refresh him. And in this life, you need friends that will refresh you and not depress you. Number 1, you should be thankful for friends. We see that in verse 3. But then if we keep on reading, come all the way down to Acts chapter 27, verse number 35. They're in the midst of the storm, and notice how verse 35 reads. "And when Paul had thus spoken, He took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of all of them. And when he had broken it, he began to eat. Even when you're going through a storm, you still have to take time to eat. And no matter how small it is, tell God, thank you. And before Thanksgiving Day comes, even on Thanksgiving Day and after Thanksgiving Day, be thankful for the food God allows for you to receive. So verse number 3, we see friends. Verse number 35, we see food. But then it is in verse number 37 where we see that there were 276 people who were on the ship with Paul. You know what I call that? I call that family. Although that wasn't his biological family, but verse 37 says, and we were in all on the ship 276 individuals. You know what I want to suggest to you? That this year, as you've been traveling along, you have not done this thing all by yourself. God has allowed your family to be there for you, to pray for you, to support you. And during this Thanksgiving season, be thankful for family. Hey, you remember number 4? Remember number 4? Number 1 was what? Friends. Number 2 was food. Number 3 is family. Here's number 4. It's favor. It's favor. They're in the storm. Verse 42 says, and the soldiers' counsel was to kill all the prisoners, all 276, so that nobody would escape. But verse 43 says, but the centurion, willing to save Paul, kept them from their purpose, and commanded that they which could swim should cast themselves first in the sea to get the land. And verse 44, and the rest of them to make it on broken pieces. Hey, if it wasn't for the centurion, guess what? Everybody on that ship would have died. But the centurion extended favor to God. And all of us in life, we need divine favor. And you never know where it's going to come from and who it's going to come from. And Paul received it. Paul received it from somebody who didn't even know Jesus the way he did. And I want you to be thankful that all this year you have received supernatural divine favor that has literally saved your life. And then finally, you should be thankful for fortitude. Because verse 44 says, and everybody made it to land on broken pieces. Those that could not swim, they made it on broken pieces. And God has allowed stuff in your life this year to shatter. But the stuff that shattered, it didn't break you. It built you. It didn't destroy you. It developed you. And you are the person you are today, even though sometimes you've had to make it on broken pieces. You've had to feed that family on broken pieces. You've had to pay some bills on broken pieces. You've had to preach to people who were hurting when you were hurting yourself on broken pieces. And that's fortitude. And you know what? You are a survivor. And because of that, you ought to be thankful. So when somebody asks you, why do you smile so much? Why is there so much joy in your heart? Why are you happy even in the midst of the times we live? You tell them, it's because of my friends. It's because of my food. It's because of my family. It's because of my favor. And it's because of my fortitude. And I want to say to you, happy Thanksgiving. I thank God for you and pray that your Thanksgiving season will be filled with thankfulness. That's all of my time. Thanks for your time. And during this Thanksgiving season, guess what you've been listening to? A word for the times.